Hello world. Some people know me as King Kong. Some people know me as the Black Snake. Some even call me Buddha. But I am here to tell you that what this world needs right now is to show some global solidarity. This world might seem to be crumbling all around us, but there are always ways that you can help. Brother Malik Rahim from Algiers, New Orleans, has been an activist all his life. Leader of the Louisiana chapter of the Black Panthers back in the 70s, co-founder of Common Ground Relief, an environmental justice organization formed in the aftermath of the Hurricane Katrina. He was a leader in the anti-death penalty pilgrimage for life and the successful campaign to free the Angola Three.
I believe we're at a crossroad in human existence. As whether we preserve life as we know it, or we sit idly by and allow it to be squandered away. What type of legacy we gonna leave to our children and to our grandchildren? We can't go on like this. This planet cannot go on like this. Will they love us or will they curse us for leaving them this type of legacy? You know, to fight injustice anywhere is to fight injustice everywhere. Every man, woman, and child who have been blessed to get involved. Get involved in your community.
Lost in the valley of hurt, didn't know what it felt like to sigh. My bones have been aching too long for me to even start to cry. Yes, I was lost in love, lost in love. Yeah, baby, I was lost in love. Have you ever been so lonely that the words dry out your mouth and eyes? Have you ever been so sad that you lost your ability to cry? You were lost in love, lost in love. Yeah, baby, you were lost.
This is one of our meeting rooms. Out of the meals we serve, this is how many is left.
Looks good. Ooh, man, beans and shit.
This is our freezer. We have two freezers here. We have a leak here, so that's why we have that little pool there. But this is our kitchen.
Nice. This is where the beans and rice.
Oh yeah. And as you see the sign right there, this is what we just got through doing.
How do you pronounce that?
Gwangi.
Gwangi.
Gwangi in Hollywood Community Center. And we made this a warming station that anybody could come here and get warm and stay warm during the time we was
Yeah, you guys
cold.
you got snow this year, right?
Yeah, no, that was last year.
Last year.
Now this is where Gwangi in Hollywood was murdered.
Who are they?
Those are two people who we named this community center after.
Do you want to give like a brief backstory on them?
Gwangi on the building in Hollywood was the barber here. They came in here to kill, to rob Hollywood, and he fought those little marks as bullet holes.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they was both murdered in this building. What, you getting ready to get?
I was. I handled it. It's done, so I don't gotta do it. But I was getting ready to go take care of something with this young lady, police brutality.
All right.
I took care of it. They took her picture down, so I don't have to go out. But I was preparing myself to go out.
And these is our solar generators. We have a compost bathroom up in here where we show people how can we survive. This is where we're moving at now. It's for us getting prepared.
For hurricane season.
Oh, yeah, and to do the renovation work that's needed to be done in this building. With that, we're trying to raise the money to do the work, and we're going to train people in the community so that they can have a livable wage.
How can
by having an employable skill.
How can people get a hold of you to donate if they wanted to?
Just give me a call.
Okay. We'll put the number in the video. So this is all our tool area. This is the area that was because see, this was a medical building. Mm-hmm. Altogether, it got 20 rooms. This was the waiting room, but you see, like right now, we just keep it for storage. Yeah.
The same thing here, and with our beds.
Oh, yeah. If people have to evacuate, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And even if you do come here as a volunteer, because see, after Katrina, I found the Common Ground. And Common Ground served over 500,000 people. So I know, I have the experience.
Yeah.
So again, and this is closing
and
that
you
we
did
putting
some
together
housing
now.
activism in Bernal Heights in San Francisco. Yeah.
Again, we had that flood. Had that rain. And we have another leak here.
Oh, the roof is damaged?
But this is our emergency preparedness room.
Oh, nice.
In case of a disaster, this is where we come at the plan. Here, where this is his office.
This is another meeting room?
Yeah.
Another office? A lot of amazing artwork. It's beautiful.
Let me show you here. A Lifetime Achievement Award given to me by Biden, when Biden was president.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you get to go to the White House to get that?
Oh, no, indeed. They wouldn't hand it to me. Listen. No Democrat would hand me that award. It was just thrown to me secondhand.
Oh my God.
That's why I said there ain't no difference between one and another.
Politicians are politicians, and they're all crooks.
But anyway, this is going to eventually be our meeting room and our library.
Oh, okay.
But we have we do it as a conference. When Mumia was about the story of Mumia, right? Mumia Abu Jamal?
Nope.
Oh. Well, you need to read up on it. But when he was about to get executed in Pennsylvania, this is people from here that was on death row here signed this petition on behalf of him. That's all of them. One of the first guys that they just executed, his name is right here, Jesse Hoffman. He signed his petition. Now this was over 15 years ago.
Wow. It's heavy.
So we have this part of it. You could let Buddha see what we this have. This is where I do my podcast.
Oh, you got a podcast?
Yeah, well, I'm doing that in a few minutes. That's what I was telling you.
Your
At
live
4
stream.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do my live. So this is where I do this at. And then right here we have a 3-bedroom apartment. So all together, this is a 20-room building.
Whoa.
And and this is what we are doing. Calvin Duncan was in prison, and now he's the criminal court clerk.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
he
a
take
turnaround.
over in 19. He take over in May.
This is a nice spot.
So my brother, you leaving?
Tomorrow morning. Check.
Where you going from here?
Austin.
Back to Austin.
All right. We're here with Malik Rahim. So where are you from? Where are you born?
Right here.
In New Orleans. Algiers born.
Not. See, this is not Algiers Point.
Okay.
This is old Algiers. The original name, or the first township name, was Freetown. So we are advocating to bring back Freetown here at the center. So I don't say I'm from, New Orleans. I'm from Freetown.
When were you born?
I was born December the 17th, 47.
47.
Yeah. I'm 78 years old.
So what was growing up here like in the early 50s, 60s?
It was good for us. New Orleans have a tendency, we call it the Big Easy. Because it's real easy to make it here. Coming up, and this was during the height of apartheid, American style.
Segregation.
Yeah, no, far from segregation.
What what the outsider would look at as segregation, right? But you call it apartheid, which is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's because, during that time, right here was a railroad. It's the highest land in New Orleans. So you have the railroad passing there. And at one time you had maybe up to between 2,000 and 4,000 people just working on the railroad. And a lot of the subsidiaries was all up and down the river, And then on this side you had the Navy base. And you had about, at one time, well over 1,000 sailors there, especially during World War II. So it had an influence of money that would normally come into the average city, came into this city, so.
Do you mean all of New Orleans or Freetown specifically?
Oh no, all of New Orleans, racism and, and lack of taking advantage of opportunities that was granted, caused a lot of, put it this way, if you hooked on drugs, you ain't worried about no other opportunity. When you hooked on alcoholism, you did. When you had these negative forces, this is what caused us to be in the position we're in now. But I look at some of the progress we have made, and I've been blessed to see it in my lifetime.
So you went to school here? Did you graduate high school?
Hold on,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get on the move with that noise. I came up in the old, in between. My mother lived in Algiers, but my grandmother lived in Gretna. All right. Algiers was more of a really modern part of this side of the river. But Gretna, and the part that I used to live in, you dig, it was a community of some of the last actual, not family of, but actual Maroons. You know, so
What's a Maroon?
Escaped slave, yeah, who take upon the vow that I would rather live and die in the bayou than to be anybody's slave.
Like that book, Free State of Jones, where they took refuge in the swamps and waited until the war was over, essentially. Right.
Well, those was the Maroons. This was one of the largest Maroon communities, you know, in the state. And so I had that part on my grandmother's side. Now, these are my mother's people. And on my father's side, I had a mulatto. And
What's a mulatto?
was a light-skinned black.
Okay.
You dig? I had a mulatto and African, real African. So both sides of the family was driven, but I guess my grandmother, my mother's mother, had the most influence. Because she is the one who really taught me pride, you know, being proud of yourself. You dig? And don't let nobody put you down. You dig? My grandmother was a follower of Bishop Turner. And then she became a follower of an Honorable Marcus Garvey, you know.
Yeah.
So I had that part in my life. My father, he was a person that was maybe, he always had a job, but he always was doing other things. You know, he had a barroom. His brother played with Fats Domino, and at that time, Fats was, was one of the biggest acts in the country. So all the black entertainers, you dig, that would go and make their little money across the river, but then they'll come over here to party. You dig? Because over here, this was the area that had little small areas that was known for us. You know, like,
safe for black people.
Oh yeah, well you know that every night.
Yeah.
You know where it's gonna be at.
It's gonna be a free town. Did you grow up playing music, or were you a musician?
I tried playing the trumpet.
It doesn't sound like it went very well.
It didn't go well at all. It didn't go well at all. I always was, coming up, I was more about the streets. You think I wasn't one that was,
So we're talking like you were basically a greaser. You were getting into fights. You were selling.
not getting into fights, more as,
protection.
just learning how to survive. Once you made it, you made it, you know. So
what were some early hustles? What were some early hustles for survival?
Marijuana.
It's always a good one. 4-finger lids.
Before the 4-finger lid. Yeah, I can remember when that happened. You know, I started smoking marijuana at 16. You know, and I've been smoking it ever since.
Never stopped.
No.
So, did you graduate high school? What happened from your adolescence to your early adulthood? Like,
I joined the Navy in my senior year.
what was that like?
Yeah. Well, I was in boot camp when Malcolm was killed. Then I was in Vietnam, on my way to Vietnam with the first combat troops to be sent over there. When I had the March on the March on Selma across that bridge. So I seen a lot that same year, had to watch riots.
Right.
So I was saying this and I seeing the contradiction, you know, that, hey, you want me to go fight. And these people is fighting for what we over here should have been fighting for. You know, and you want me to kill them because of the fact that you're going to deny them not only their rights, but in their country. You know, you coming in here forcing yourself upon them. You dig? And now you want me to do it. And then you want me to do it for nothing. You know, because at that time, my base pay was $76. That's a month.
Jesus.
All right? Now, because I'm in Vietnam, you gave me an extra $65, what they call combat pay. So for less than $200, you want me to get out here and kill someone for you, for wanting what I want. So I came out of the service bitter.
Yeah. What did you do in the Navy?
Believe it or not, I washed clothes.
You were in the laundry.
Yeah, that's where the money became an issue.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
You see, Marines love to have their uniform pressed. And I was on a helicopter carrier. And when we left from Long Beach going to Vietnam, we had about 2,000 sailors, but we had about 10,000 Marines, maybe 10 to 12,000 Marines.
On that one boat?
On yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were you around when wasn't there a bombing of a ship in the early days of Vietnam? Were you around for that?
I can't remember no bombing of a ship, but I know we carried helicopters.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm suffering now with Agent Orange, because that's what they sprayed areas with.
So they were bringing that stuff back in from the jungle.
Oh yeah. I mean, no, at first you got to get it off the boat to bring it to the jungle.
Oh, so you're just exposed to it.
So you're seeing it firsthand. Wow. You're seeing it when you're first putting it out, and then you see it dealing with the end results of it. You dig? I see that then. I seen too many guys come back sick, not knowing that they died, wind up dying. My sister, godchild, just passed from doing 4 tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Really?
You did. And she died in her 50s.
Yeah, they exposed the military to horrible things.
You know.
Out there, yeah.
So when I came back, you dig, I came back real bitter. You dig,
Is this when you became a Panther?
not really.
Were you into the,
By
like,
then
you talked about Malcolm X, were you into, like, the Nation of Islam and stuff?
No.
No,
It wasn't until really after the death of Dr. King.
So that anger was mounting from living in apartheid America, being utilized by the American government as a soldier. When you realize you see the contradiction and the problem, and then that was the final straws when.
Oh yeah, well, you know, after Dr. King, after his death, you know, and I was by then, before I left Los Angeles, I left with with the lady that became my first wife. And by the time King was born, I was killed. My second child was born. So, you know, it was all about looking at them. You know, what kind of life I want for these. I knew then I had to get involved. I couldn't just lay back anymore and say, well, fuck it, I ain't gonna work for nobody, you dig? But, you know, I ain't, that's when I knew I had to do something.
So what was your first step towards activism at that point?
I guess it was more of making that commitment. I ain't getting no job.
Right.
All right. And hustling. I'm in the project. And then
In
my
Los
wife.
Angeles, you come back from Vietnam, you're in LA.
No, I'm here in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
You know, my wife trying to get me to take advantage of some of the benefits of a veteran. I don't want to have nothing to do with that because I'm hustling.
Right.
I ain't making, you know, no fortune, but I'm making enough that I could make sure all of our obligation was being fulfilled. Now, did I love what I was doing? No, because
Was it necessary evil?
well, I wouldn't say evil, but it was a necessary way for survival.
Necessary survival. I like that. It's better. Why call it evil? This is not, you're selling pot,
I
right?
mean,
You're selling weed.
right. I mean, if marijuana is evil, then so is alcohol.
No, alcohol is certain.
But again, we still deal with this.
True.
You know, so
What
again,
was the hustle when you got back from Vietnam? Was it
marijuana.
No poison, no heroin?
No, it was. I was selling. I was selling weed in a few different ways. One, I have some people, because when I came back from Vietnam, I came back through California. So I always had a nice weed connection. One of the things I'm sorry about is that when I see an individual heading out up to Humboldt County, that I didn't join that exodus from out of Long Beach going to Humboldt.
Yeah.
You dig, and selling in Humboldt. Maybe I would be a marijuana baron by now. You dig, if I went up there. But
You lived in Long Beach when you got back?
I lived in LA. You dig, so I used to.
I feel like Long Beach is kind of a Navy.
Yeah, I mean, I discharged from out of Long Beach.
Nice.
You dig? But I used to go up there sometimes just to make a hustle.
Yeah.
You dig? Because a lot of times sailors be wanting to know where this at and where that's at, and they're just getting there. So a lot of times I used to go up there and just catch what we call fresh fish. You dig? Those who are just coming out of boot camp, this is their first thing. Let me show you around.
Oh man.
You dig? You know, here's where you can find you some marijuana. You dig? So
I used to do a thing. I worked on Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, and I drove the forklift, which means you sit on the wharf and wait for the crab boats to come back in and go get them whatever they need. And those guys do everything, like weed.
I stayed in San Francisco, with maybe 15 years.
Really? Yeah, that's right. You told me you were at the housing project on Cesar Chavez.
Oh yeah.
Or Army Street.
Old Army Street housing project.
Yeah.
You dig?
I lived right down the street from it. Brian Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
Before you get the freeway. So you come back from Vietnam, you realize, like, I'm not joining Square Society, I'm not contributing to this, military industrial, prison industrial, like, I'm not buying into this live America. What happens?
But here's the alternative.
Right.
Hippies, the hippie movement, the radical left.
We're talking about the days of, like, the Weather Underground, the Sudanese
Yeah,
Liberation
it was
Army.
part of it. All this is happening.
Right.
You dig? You had, you had the Black Panther Party.
Right.
You know, we had us, the Republic of New Africa. You had quite a few alternatives. You dig? But at that time, marijuana played a crucial role in that turn. You dig?
It was just opportunity. Like,
you going to visit Daryl up in San Francisco during this time. You did go to one of the coffee houses that was right there on there in 16th Street. You dig? 16 in Mission. Go up around that area there and you see what you're seeing. You're seeing as it was in there, you're seeing a lot of people smoking marijuana. You dig? Hayden Ashbury. You dig? Same thing. You dig? You had marijuana. So what I'm saying is there have always been, after every great movement, came an addiction. You know, in the history of this nation, and this marijuana is one. And the reason why I say it's an addiction is because anything that you have to use as a coping mechanism in order to survive, and especially in your own community. You dig it? It becomes an addiction.
It can be.
Yeah. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so
Pacify, if you're using an external source to solve an internal problem, you're gonna get it.
So again, it was always with me with marijuana. I always used that as an alternative, as a way of funding some of the work that I had done until I had paid the cost for it.
Let's get into that. What work were you doing that you were funding with marijuana, and what cost did you pay?
First is taking care of my family.
Number one.
That was the very first thing. Like I said, I had, at the time I was 22, I had 2 kids. And a wife that I believed wasn't based on love. You dig? You know, it was more, we became more friends than husband and wife because I was a lousy husband.
For instance?
Well, then I just didn't give a damn. My life was in the streets.
Right.
Got caught up in living in the project. In that project life, which is a different form of living than the community I was raised in on my mother's side or raised in on my grandmother's side. Because I caught the clash of those two way of life.
Was Grandma more in the country?
Oh, yeah.
So you learned to garden?
Oh, yeah, but my mama was
city. Or something?
Yeah.
And Mom was in the project?
Yeah, no, my mother wasn't in the project.
Oh, okay.
My mother refused a project. I tried to get her to get one, and she refused to get one when Fisher first opened.
Yeah.
You know, but
So when did you become a Panther?
In 1970.
1970. So shortly after you got back from the war.
I didn't become a Panther. I became a member. That's when I joined the National Committee to Combat Fascism.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Is that like something to do with the SNCC?
It was a forerunner to become a chapter of the Panther Party. You had to do something. You couldn't just.
It's important to talk about that because a lot of people don't know that there were these little pockets of groups before. The Panthers is almost like a multinational like conglomerate of.
But
groups, like,
but see, a lot of people look at it in all kind of different negative ways.
I don't look at it negative at all.
These was young people.
Right.
Going against old people. Going against old people that was established.
Yeah.
This government.
Yeah.
The oldest person in the party that I know of when I joined was still in their 20s. All right? But those that was an establishment from the governor on up. You dig?
Yeah.
These was people in their late 40s. You dig? 50s, and they had power.
Yeah.
And we ain't had nothing but the will, just like what we did this morning. Listen, this morning we fed over 50 people.
Right here.
Right here.
Oh.
You dig? We do Red Bean Monday.
Oh man.
You dig? And every Monday we get just put out a table in the tent where you parked at right there.
Yeah.
Shit, we put a tent there and put a table out and feed people.
Awesome.
You dig? I'm gonna show you what we doing when I show you around.
Yeah, we'll take a walk around. Okay, so I see up there it says the angle of 3. What's that all about?
Angola 3 is 3 political prisoners that I was honored to say I know.
Yeah.
And they spent a total of 110 years in solitary confinement.
Not just in prison, in solitary.
In solitary.
Wow. That's.
And,
I don't think there can be anything more soul crushing. I don't think there can be anything more soul crushing than being locked in a box by yourself.
And then have to go to a board every 6 months. And that's all you got to say is, I renounce that Black Pantherism. And then I'll let you out of solitary.
And they wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it.
Wow. You ever heard of David Rice and Poindexter from
I heard of
Nebraska?
Poindexter.
Yeah. They were Panthers who were framed for allegedly putting a bomb in a house and blowing a cop up. And there were many reports that it was actually a young white kid. They just found the first 2 Panthers that were in proximity, and they died in prison.
Yeah. I see a lot of them now. You know, and we coming up on the 60th anniversary of the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
And this October we'll be celebrating. And we're all getting prepared to go up to Oakland. You know,
Home of the Panthers.
and meet with brothers that, cause they like me,
Yeah.
you know. So if we don't see each other now, when we gonna see each other?
Yeah. It's true.
You know, so it's all about that celebration.
That's true. So I'm not like the best interviewer. I'm kind of like how to listen, and I just write what I remember. So I don't really know how to steer the conversation. So you get out of Vietnam, you get back to hustling, you join a community organization that later becomes part of the Black Panthers.
Yeah, now how that happened. I'm hanging in the project. That's where I'm selling my little bags and my little puffers.
Yeah.
You dig? And the brother came through with Panther paper. And by the fact that my first wife was from LA, and we was up there, and I had been to the Panther office, and I had met Geronimo, you dig, who was a homeboy. You dig? So, you know, him and I met some of the other earlier members of the party in LA. You dig? And because that's where I was going to join the party at. But in LA, they had, in California at that time, they had a law that you had to be 21 to go into a nightclub. And shit, I've been to Vietnam in that nightclub, but I ain't 21. I'm just 20. You dig? So shit, I said, man, I'm going back home, cause you know, I can't deal with this. You dig? But I told G, I said, man, listen, if y'all ever decide to come down south, you dig, look me up. You know, and so one day I'm hanging in the project, and the brother came out, got off the bus, reading the Panther paper. And I asked him, I said, bro, where you get this paper from? He told me, he said, well, the guy do is on Canal Street selling these papers. So when the bus turned around to come back, to go back across the river, I jumped on the bus and got off. There he was. The brother's name was Alton Edwards. He's deceased now. But he was out there. I bought a paper from him, and while I was waiting for the bus to make its route and turn back around so I could go back over, you dig, I talked to him about it, and I told him, hey man, listen, if you ever come across the river, the first stop when this bus get across the river is in the project. You get to the project, ask for me, you dig, and I'll show you around the project. And so be it that the next day, that's what he did. So that's when I started hanging with him, trying to get him to do the organizing in the project. And I did that for about almost a month. And my wife and I, we was on bad terms then. So well, we both had that party spirit in us. So we decided to give it basically one more chance and join the party. So when I joined the party, it wasn't just me. It was my wife, my 2 kids, and I. It was the 4 of us that joined the NCCF. And we stayed in the NCCF until the shootout. After the shootout I was in, my wife had to go underground. And
let's talk about the shootout. What happened? What is it? Khan didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, in 1970, I was involved in the shootout with the police here. You dig? It was, and that's something that really touched my spiritual life.
Well, what happened?
Because everybody, we had formed the NCCF, and everywhere that we was moved to, we'll get evicted. You know, you don't have no constitutional rights when you're doing something that others who even may like what you're doing, but by the fact that it's you doing it, they cannot support it. So it's real easy when you get caught up in that kind of social dynamics, especially in a place that's forgotten. Project is where you put forgotten people. They're on the street, but that's what you build it for. That's why you never hear them build it until recently. And the program they're trying to add into them now ain't about nothing. You dig? But at that time, it was just about how many people we could house and put out the way. So
what led up to the shootout with the police?
Soon as they found out that we was the NCCF, they declared that we was Panthers.
Oh, really? So any kind of black organization was just being thrown into this?
That's because we was the NCCF. But we was operating under the principles of the Black Panther Party.
Right.
And I want you to understand that part of those principles, because those principles outlived the party. You did.
For instance, what would the principles be?
Well, the party was officially closed in the end of the 70s or the early part of the 80s. But I told you about the three guys that you asked about right there. You dig? They survived off of those principles of the Black Panther Party for another damn near 30 years.
What are the principles?
The 10-point program, the ideology of upliftment. Now, some people join the party for different reasons. I joined the party because I seen the avenue of upliftment. And that upliftment has shown the work for me. Because after Katrina, I formed an organization with those three there called Common Ground. You dig? And we served over 500,000 people in the aftermath of Katrina.
What was it like over here during Katrina? Did this area flood?
Oh, no.
No. It's highest elevation in New Orleans.
See, in order for us to flood, we got to have over 60 feet of a tidal surge.
So a tsunami, you know?
Yeah, it had to come through here.
Wow.
You dig? Because of the fact every mile of land can absorb a foot of a tidal surge. And we 60 miles into that. You dig? So it has to be, the only thing that could flood us is the river. And if the river would overflood us, water always run downstream. So even though we may be hit with a flash flood, you dig, but other areas gonna be really devastated than we are here. Because, when you first settle anywhere, you ain't gonna say, well, hey man, let me see where's the worst land in this area, and we're gonna settle there. No, you're gonna look for the best.
Just straight up.
You dig? So again, the older community is normally on the best land. So that's where it is with that. You dig? So.
And so you get back from Nam, you eventually become a community member or
a member of
a community group.
Yeah.
And then that kind of becomes Black Panthers.
Soon as the police
after the shootout. Right?
No, this is before the shootout.
Before the shootout, okay.
Soon as the governor found out that it was an NCCF, that time the governor was McKitton. He got on TV and said, we got to crush them. We ain't gonna let them get started here. So, not knowing that we was already established, by then we had a real functional NCCF. And then we had two police that called themselves infiltrating us. But, we knew what they was.
Really?
But on September the 15th, 1970, over 100 New Orleans police came into the project and shot at us for 20 minutes.
Whoa.
You dig?
That's a long time.
In a wooden house, and didn't hit nobody. We came out of it, known as the Panther 12.
How do you survive something like that? You stay on the floor?
We was behind sandbags. Again, we had been to Vietnam.
So you know fortified.
Yeah. But the main thing, we was blessed.
Yeah. So the Panther 12, what's that?
That was the 12 of us that was in that house.
And did you get pinched? Did you go to jail? When it was over, did you go to jail?
We went from there to court to death row in one day, all the meals.
In one day?
In one day. We woke up on the street, had a shootout with the police, went to court, and then next thing you know, we eat a tray has been slid to us to eat our dinner on death row.
In Louisiana? Angola prison?
Right across the river.
What
on Tulane and Broad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And they sentenced you to death. Talk about a quick and speedy trial. That's by dinner time. You just said by dinner time. Yeah. You were signed, sealed, delivered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And see, at that time in this state, if you was sentenced to death, it'd be carried out in the parish where you committed the crime.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why.
So none of this going
that's why we had a death row here. See, now they have only carry out death penalties in Angola.
Right.
Because it's isolated.
Wow.
You dig? So they ain't got to worry about the stigma being attached to no city or any place like that. But that's how we went. And then after the second shootout, when there was too many of us to keep on death row, we was all placed in the dungeon. And then the dungeon is where I met Herman Wallace and Albert Woodfox.
Yeah.
You dig? So when I met them, and we started, and they started coming to our meetings and things like this. We formed a bond, and that bond became so great that only way that they could have broken that bond is by killing us.
Yeah.
And they knew that that just because of the support or either the fact that people was monitoring what we was doing, they just couldn't murder us.
Yeah.
They blew that chance
Yeah.
when they let us survive the shootout.
Yeah.
So they couldn't do anything with us. And then when, after the 11 months, we was found not guilty.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we was charged with attempted murder on 5 police. And in less than a year, we took it to the jury and was found not guilty.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was going to be my next question. How long did you have to sit down for?
Yeah.
11 months.
Yeah, we was
We went in
the
September,
parish
and we
prison.
got out. Yeah, I walked out. So I can't remember the exact date, but in the next year in August.
Yeah. Wow. Damn, that's a long time still to sit down for something you didn't do.
Oh, but it was one of the
Defending
best
your own
times.
life, like-
But it was one of the best times in my life.
Yeah.
Because I got a chance to meet individuals. Shit. When I met Herman,
Which one of you?
Herman Wallace.
Herman Wallace.
Yeah, when I met him, we started talking. I was getting ready to go to court, and I seen he had on some real expensive shoes, but he was walking in the back of them. You dig? And I told him, I said, man, I said, bro, what size shoe you wear? Yeah, he told me, and we wore the same size shoe. So I took off my tennis and I gave them to him. I said, here, bro, you can have these. You dig? And I went to court bare feet. You dig? And that was the first time my mother come to court.
I think that's a great way to describe it. You would literally give a man the shoes off of your feet.
Oh yeah, but later, if it was a brother that I came to love, you dig?
Yeah.
I mean, we had lost that that prey mentality.
Yeah.
You dig? And I mean, by that, you see, a lion might make a whole herd of buffalo run, stampede, yeah, because they got that prey mentality.
Yeah.
But then sometime it'll click off, and they'll turn around, because the only way the lion know how to attack them, because of how big they are. In most cases, most of the animals that they're after, you dig, it's from behind. You dig, you puzzle them when all of a sudden they got to face the horns. That's even with the wildebeest. The wildebeest will form a circle inside of the herds where they'll just put their young. But they'll put their young there and they'll turn around. You dig? And I'm saying that because when we beat this case, you dig, it turned around everything in the city. You dig? It turned around us because we get out, even though Albert and Herman were sentenced and already had long prison sentence. Now they have become contaminated with what they call Black Pantherism. You dig? So when they go to Angola, and form what was once known as the Brotherhood. You dig? And so they start organizing for prison rights. You dig? And learning how to live as civilized human beings, even though you're incarcerated.
Yeah.
You know? Because see, one of the things...
mind if the body can't be.
I mean, listen, we used to sit down and have meetings at night. And maybe we was reading one quote of one of the law books. Might be about 8 of us, one person reading out loud, but the other 7 or 8 of us just listening to him. Now we go through it. We want to know what each one, what you think about this. You dig? And that influence. Next thing you know, you had guys that would not accept no deals. That understand the fact that I would rather take it to trial.
Right.
You dig?
Yeah.
With a deal, what do this mean?
Would you forfeit your rights?
Yeah. If it means that you ain't getting out, then why should you take it if you're gonna send you to prison? You dig? If you didn't do it, now that you took that deal, you're in prison. No, you ain't got life, but you got to do this sentence. You can't even appeal it because of the deal that you're taking.
You signed,
yeah.
you said you were guilty.
Mm-hmm. So again, You think we start teaching this, and they start teaching it, and then it became a threat. Then when a prison guard was killed in Angola, they blamed it on them, even though they had no evidence, except for a prisoner that was paid to testify and say that those three caused it. But they didn't.
It's almost as if the system, this is what I'm picturing right now. It's like, if you're gonna be black in America at this time, it's like the system is already a prison guard. He's got a big club, and he's beating the shit out of you with it. And if you even put your hand up to stop the club from hitting you, you're trying to kill him. You're not just defending yourself. No. I don't mean that.
And it wasn't just then. It's the same thing that exists right now.
I agree.
You know, it exists right now.
Do you think it's still racial? Do you think it's like like, do you think it's poor and rich now, more now? Like,
it's not the idea of poor and rich.
Yeah.
You dig? Because I don't care how rich you become in America, your status is still below a rich white person. Now, your status might be above a working white person, but when you're talking about among those billionaires, your status is still below them.
I think I was thinking that of like more of a prison industrial complex kind of thing.
But it's not just the prison. See, everybody talk about the prison industrial complex and the role it plays in the surmise of our community. But the greatest one is the medical industrial complex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know all about that.
The medical is the one that's really destroying our community.
Right, I mean, not just medical too, but like mental health. Both of these are medical issues, and they are luxury items. You have to be wealthy to have them, or you have to submit to the system and get health insurance. Like,
remember, a poor person don't have no rights.
No.
You dig? I'm gonna tell you where you could stay. I'm gonna tell you where your kids could go to school. I'm gonna tell you where to do this. I'm gonna tell you how to do this. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. And if you don't do it, here's the consequence. I will lock your ass up for life. So
if you
again,
make it to prison, if they don't kill you before you get there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about just to make it on the streets.
Right.
It's always that hammer that I got to have to show you that if you don't do right, you don't want me to drop this hammer. You dig? Now you don't want me to tell you that you can't stay in the project. Why? Because if you're in the project, the only other alternative to the projects is living on the streets. Yeah. So again, you're caught up in there. You got to have it. You dig? Your food, how you gonna survive? I'm gonna give you X amount of food stamps. You dig? And this is supposed to last you a month to feed your children. You dig? Now again, we'll do this. If you don't do it, then here's the alternative. I'm gonna put you out of the project, and I'm gonna send your kid to a detention center. We call them detention centers now, because that's what, but at one time, there was reform schools. I'm gonna lock them up. And we're gonna spend, right now, over $50,000 a year to keep a child in a detention center.
Really?
But we're gonna spend $10,000 a year to keep him out of it. So that lets you know, what they care about us. Look at that corner there. Look how many of those guys are standing on that corner. You did.
Which one?
Look toward the light, the traffic light. The other way.
This way?
Yeah. We'll go outside and I'll show you.
Okay.
You dig?
What else do you think the world needs to understand about Malik Rahim and the Panthers and your life of activism?
Well, I'll tell you, And I ain't bragging, I ain't tooting my own horn. But,
We already established you're not a good trumpet player, so you're not tooting your own horn.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, some people say that about Trump and what he's doing. Say, I don't feel that way. 'Cause I don't think there's no difference between a Democrat and a Republican. I believe they're two sides on the same coin. And that coin, that coin that they own is the one based upon capitalism. Now, and capitalism is based upon exploitation. So both sides is doing the same. Listen, I caught more hell from Democrats than I've caught from Republicans.
I agree.
So again,
I don't participate in the system because the system is flawed. Like,
well, it's
I don't
flawed,
vote.
but I vote, but I'm a member of the Green Party.
I registered green when I was a kid, and I was in jail, and the guards were like, "Yeah," like they mocked me.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I done ran for office here twice.
Really?
Under the Green Party.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So again,
Mayor or
no, I ran
council?
for city council and in Congress.
Really? State legislature?
Yeah, I ran as Congress right after Katrina.
Oh wow. What was that like? Let's go through Katrina. Were you here? You were here for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was right across the street.
Really?
Yeah, when the meeting that we had was right before Katrina hit. That day, we knew that Katrina was going to hit, we was going to start feeling it around 6 in the evening. So we was all over in the yard determining who was going to stay and who was going to leave.
And that's not a lot of time to get ahead of the storm. If you do leave.
No. But we knew that was either you get out there or you're stuck.
Yeah.
See? So we made a decision that we was going to organize. And every person was given a certain part of the community to look out for. And then after the hurricane, because we wasn't damaged by the hurricane, we thought that if we made it, then we know they must have made it across the river too. And come to find out about the flooding. And see, the flooding came after the hurricane. Now, the hurricane might have been the match, but the tinder was already there, you dig? And that was corruption. Yeah. After we had been hit by a hurricane, corruption and racism, that's all it needed was any type of hurricane to light that off. And that's what happened.
Do you think that the city intentionally let the Ninth Ward flood?
It didn't let the Ninth Ward flood, but they knew that it was going to flood because they knew that some area, they have to relieve this water if it's inundated. We're in a bowl.
Right.
So you got to have some way of inundating, and what are we going to do with that? Except for and the ones that we can't afford to lose.
Disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again.
So do you think that the theories of blowing up the levees?
No, they didn't have to blow it up because it was built under hurricane corruption. All right, it was shabby work.
It's like how Haiti has been destabilized forever because the business of aid is a business. So if Haiti isn't destabilized, then there is no aid.
But then you got to understand why Haiti got to be in the condition that it's in. Understand why Woodrow Wilson went in there and made them do what Trump trying to make Iran do. all right? Make them unconditional surrender.
Yeah.
You see? So again, you have the examples. And the most racist president that I've ever read about was Woodrow Wilson.
Really?
Yeah. You know, he's the one who...
You don't hear a lot about that guy.
And that's the reason, because he was so blatantly racist.
Wow.
You dig?
And what did he do to Haiti?
Oh, he's the one who sent troops in the same manner that we're in Iran right now. He gave a reason. There ain't gonna be no black democracy in the Western Hemisphere. Wow. We're gonna take it over. And the United States have been in control of Haiti ever since. And Haiti have always been in a state of crisis.
Yeah, I'll say.
From Baby Doc to Papa Doc to right now to what we did to Aristide. So when you talk about Haiti, Haiti played a real role in showing us what this government can do and get away with it, because we so drunk on prosperity. Now, again, we starting away.
It's been a crazy trip. It's been basically like a cross-country pub crawl.
Oh,
we're recording. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know what else to cover. I mean, I guess I could go through some of the talking points that Khan gave me.
Now, again, at 4 o'clock, I do a Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I have to jump off at 4.
That's fine, yeah.
All right.
I mean, basically at this point, like, I feel like we've done some big, broad strokes. But, like, essentially, I kind of want you to just control the narrative here. Like, what do you want? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to get out there in the world? Like, you want to tell people about the community center?
Well, yeah. Well, one of the things that we definitely need some more on what we are doing and what we're trying to do. You dig what we are facing, because everything that we do, you dig, is only by the grace of the Most High. We don't get no support as for politicians helping us raise funding. You know, like today we fed over 50 people, but it was that we fed them. You dig? This center, to keep this center is open, it's upon us.
Yeah.
You dig? It's not like we have this donor, even though they try to portray this. You dig? But this is upon us. Man, if we had somebody, we'd be doing 10 times what we are doing now. And we serve well over 50 families per week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You dig? And I'm talking about not just the 50 that I said we fed this morning.
Right.
You dig? Because we made close to 100 meals. You dig? And about 50 people came. And when they came, like, the reason why, some of them came and, man, I need 3 dinners. You dig? I got a wife and a child at home. But get 3 plates.
Yeah.
You dig? No, you ain't got to bring them here. And because of some of them, they know that we do this consistently every Monday. This is not a one-time thing. We have been doing this for a year. We've been having this building for almost 2 years now. You dig? And
you guys are an actual non-governmental NGO? Are you guys do you have the tax filing of an NGO?
No, we're in the process of putting it together. Now, the first year we didn't know if we was gonna keep it.
Right.
I think we were struggling for it. But now we're no longer struggling.
Yeah.
You dig? So we know that that we're gonna have it. So now we're trying to apply for our 501c3 and start making other moves. But it's been like I said, it's been a struggle. You dig? But it's one that is. I just told you about the shootout I was in.
Yeah.
The shootout was on September the 15th.
1970.
September the 15th, 1963 was the Birmingham bombing. So we believe that we had 4 little angels watching over us. Because you can't tell me how can the police, as supposed to be specialists in firearms, fire over 30,000 rounds of ammunition into a wooden house, even though one part of it was sandbagged, and don't hit nobody.
Wow, 30,000.
30,000 rounds. They fired for 20 minutes. They with automatic weapons into a wooden house for 20 straight minutes. And
I'm surprised there's even a house left.
it was like this. Because of listen, brother named Charles Scott, may God bless him, continue to be with him. He told me to crawl to each room and find out how many was injured and how many was dead.
And nobody was.
And I came back with the same answer. Nobody injured, nobody's dead. Listen, they was shooting splinters when the 2x would get hit, it explode. And you ain't had to worry about the round as much as you had to worry about one of them splinters hitting you. You dig? And I couldn't believe that nobody was injured and nobody was dead. And I seen it when he ran me through all those rooms, and then afterward, I was picked with a brother named Ronald Ellsworth at that time. Now his name is Farouk. I can't think of his last name now. But we was picked to go back in the house because they used us as a shield, because they just knew that somebody had to be in that house injured or dead or still being defiant. So they're going to use us as that shield or go in before them. You dig? So I got a chance to see it again. You dig, from that perspective. And I know it's only by the grace of God. But that night before, a lady came and put a prayer cloth on our building and prayed for us and told us if anybody in that prayer, you dig, y'all gonna be all right. I prayed, you dig, and I know that I could talk to those individuals that's still alive now that was in the house with us. And I know all of them prayed, you dig, and not only did we survive the shootout, but I told you in less than a year we was found not guilty. You dig? But it took away a year organizing, a year of work that we was doing. And it scared so many people like it's scaring them now. You dig? It's a lot of people that's, oh man, this is the name of this is the Guanji and Hollywood community, son. Man, these them Panthers. You dig? Why? Because look what I got on the wall behind. They don't want to see this. You dig? Because of the fear factor. You dig? And that fear factor have gone through. They know that the good things that we are doing. They know that how we are helping to reduce crime. They know what we are trying to put forward. Yeah. You dig?
Black empowerment.
Oh, and not only
not
that.
necessarily black power.
Shucks. Listen, that a hurricane hit. There ain't no place in this city more prepared for it than we are here.
Really?
That's right.
Wow.
You dig?
Yeah.
If you have to shelter in place, this is the place that you could come. And we telling everybody that come here for a meal, if there's a disaster, come here. Come here like it's Monday. Yeah. And what we are showing you is this here. We're going to show you how we're going to survive. Because if we have to evacuate, we're going to evacuate as a community. We know where we're going. We know where we're going to settle there. We know how we're going to survive. And we're going to come back as a community. And every day we are getting more and more prepared for it. You dig? With that, I'm going to show you around.